Welcome back. It's a screenwriter's journey, the long and winding road. Oh man, it leads hopefully to an Oscar or an Emmy or whatever they give out these days. Day 134. And if you hear me chewing gum, that's because I am. I'm hoping that my voice doesn't give out, although this is only about a 13-minute day. So, working on the story, and I guess you could say that one is always working on the story, whether he is writing a screenplay or working on an outline, a synopsis, a log line, index cards, character, backstory, etc. However, I'm specifically trying to figure out what this story might be, because frankly, and I feel like I've been in this, I guess you could say, funk ever since I got the feedback from the gentleman that I respect so much. Darn him. And that seemed like it was maybe day 105. So close to 30 days of just working on the story and the screenplay. I don't seem to be able to get past page, I guess, 20. I don't know. How far have I gotten? You probably know better than I. And I don't know. It's just one of those things where you just sort of lose your way. You sort of lose confidence, not in your ability to write. I don't think I've ever lost my confidence in that. It doesn't mean I'm a good writer. It just doesn't mean I have not lost my confidence in the ability to do so. Having said that, maybe it's the story, and it really comes back to what story do you want to tell? Because when you tell a story, you get some good feedback or whatever. As soon as you get bad feedback, and it's not bad feedback, it's great feedback, but it's feedback that your story isn't that hot or needs a lot of work. And where did I start that sentence? You just sort of get deflated, and then you think, well, I guess the story that I told is not appealing to everyone, which it's never going to be. But maybe it's just not the right story. It's not connecting. It's not speaking the truth, however you want to say it. So that's kind of where I am. And now here I am back on the script. And again, let's see, this is, wow. I'm writing this on November 29th. And I am recording this on January 15th. So that's a solid 6 weeks. And my, how things have changed. I'm not going to say if they've changed for the better or not, but they have changed. As I've said before, anyone who is not completely invested on going on this somewhat long and torturous, as it's turned out, journey, may just skip to the very last day, or maybe wait until they see that I'm not posting any new ones and then just go to the last day, and that would kind of be sad. But it's going to be a document of the screenwriter's journey, and that's really the main reason I'm doing this. It's not to get a zillion views, or even, well, a half a zillion would be nice, but I mean, it's obviously not for that. It's so someday, whether this script is famous or not, I shouldn't say famous, if it ever gets made, or maybe I'll make it. If this guy doesn't want to that I'm writing it for, I'll show him a thing or two and I'll make it. And I'm only half kidding there. If it turns out as well as I hope it will, I mean, you wouldn't ever purposely make a movie out of one of your scripts just to spite someone, knowing it kind of sucks. Because I can tell you, and you can tell yourself if you've had the experience, I've made 3 features, and no, none of them have been Oscar contenders. Not quite. I don't make them for the Oscars. I don't make them for even local film festivals. I make them for the experience, for the education, to learn more about the process. But my point is that, as I've said before, including the screenwriting, I easily invest 3 years, I would say, into a film. And so you're not going to take 3 years, obviously not, 24/7, but still, you're not going to do that just to say you did it and then knowing up front the movie's going to stink. And how do you know if the movie's going to stink? Well, you could write a script and get no feedback on it, and then it'll probably stink. All right. So, this is Holly. I'm back to talking about the script now. Holly's talking to Rachel. I did some research to find out, as strange as this sounds, about social security numbers and if there are any that aren't used, like some combination of number, like, telephone 555, which I may have mentioned that I just hate every time I hear that, because it says, this is a movie or this is a TV show. So this is an early rendition of a scene that I had imagined, and I don't know if before this or since I have communicated with the deputy U.S. Marshal to see what kind of conversation there would be. And I think this is before I got her feedback. So this is basically just laying out kind of what I want to get across. The fact that we're going to find out that Holly has been communicating with Rachel over the years. And now they've sort of informally talked about this idea that when Lexi turns 18, Holly is going to put her in touch with Rachel and let them meet. Holly, deep down, and I don't know if I've written this scene yet or not, spoiler alert, but to my way of thinking, deep down, Holly is pretty much hoping that the meeting won't go well, because she wants to continue to be the principal figure, at least female figure, role model in Lexi's life. She's done it for 12 years. She considers herself successful in that Lexi has grown up to be a fairly well-adjusted young woman. And I think she's confident enough in that she is going to set up this meeting. If she was insecure about it, she would tell Rachel to pack sand. But between Rachel's sort of having a knack for convincing people of stuff and, building them up, and I don't think that Holly feels guilt, because none of this was her fault. She kind of maybe feels bad, mostly for Lexi, somewhat for Rachel, although Rachel made the decision, and maybe she's come to regret the decision. But so that's sort of the dynamic that I'm trying to set up between them. And in the opening sequence, when Rachel basically gave her little girl to these people, to the U.S. Marshals and the foster system, I hope a little of her, what do I want to say, her psyche, the way she talks, the fact that she did this. Here's another spoiler alert. I'm working on this today, January 15th also, and I was asking my wife if she could envision a woman so selfish that she would, she marries into this mob family unknowingly or not. She has a kid, and then she sees an opportunity to kill two birds with one stone, by testifying on her father, going into the witness security program, and giving her girl up to the foster system. And my wife goes, "Oh, yeah, you mean a narcissistic psycho?" So literally those two words reinvigorated me. And so having said that, that happens today. I'm writing this 6 weeks ago. So what in the world have I done for these last 6 weeks? I can tell you, no, I better not. It may be extremely, I don't know about disappointing, disheartening if I told you what day I'm currently on and how much of the script I've written. Of course, you have to take into account we had Christmas and New Year's, and surely I didn't write much during those times. Yeah, no comment. So they had a long conversation, Holly and Rachel. I didn't really see how many pages it was. I'm sure I'll have to cut it down. Again, some virgin writing here. And then Holly goes in, talks to her supervisor about getting some time off. And in this, we find out that Holly is sort of gilding the lily a bit here. She, frankly, is kind of spinning a yarn about what she's doing because she doesn't want her supervisor to know what she's doing. So I'm playing with the wording there. I don't want to make it look like she's a total liar, but I do want to make it obvious that she is keeping her cards close to her chest, probably in part because she knows she might get her hand slapped, that it might not be the smartest thing. Having said that, it's obvious, well, I guess it becomes apparent that she has not told her supervisor, any of this in terms of keeping in touch with Lexi. In fact, I'm going to have to give that some thought. How big of a deal it would be if she did or didn't tell her, or how hard it would be. It wouldn't be that hard to keep it from her, I don't think. Even though her friend or colleague, whatever, Katina knows. So I'll have to give that a little thought. And then this little thing about the biological clock. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a cliche. I mean, I don't mind it. It's kind of cutesy. I don't know that someone would talk like that. Before my biological clock strikes midnight. Have you been talking with my mother again? But so obviously the idea is there that she obviously is not married, doesn't have kids, etc. Wow, day 134 has come to a very unceremonious end. I talked a lot about stuff that wasn't necessarily in the script, but that's okay. That's what I do. Thanks again for hanging in there with me or not. I will see you on day 135.